Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today, we've got another Gun Gripe episode for you, and I've got a special guest here with me, Mr. Hank Strange. Yeah.
Yes, thanks for having me on. That's Sir Hank Strange now. I've been knighted now.
Oh, you have been?
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about complacency in the gun community when it comes to lots of different topics. Now, we're going to give credit where it's due, but we're also going to, venture out into some different rabbit holes here. And why does it seem, and we really weren't even going to plan on making this video, but we were kind of talking about it a bit earlier, and we thought, well, heck, let's make this a gun gripe. But why does it seem like a lot of people in the gun community are really quick to bury their heads in the sand and not do anything, or not, have a call to action, or try to rally the troops to get things done on legislative level? So there's not only the legislation and all the stuff that we're trying to constantly fight against, right? Negative gun legislation that's, anti-gun legislation. But it just seems that a lot of gun owners also have that bury their head in the sand mentality.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, it's not my problem. It doesn't affect me, or it's not happening in my state. I don't have to worry about it. So what do you think causes people to get that way?
Well, so first, the definition of what we're saying, right? Because the people who come into this video, they're going to want to know, what do you mean you're saying something bad about me? Right? That's the first definition of it. I agree with you. I think that it's kind of like the sausage making or the minutia, maybe what's boring stuff of what we're doing gets lost. I find that, there's things going on in the gun world right now, and we're trying to make people aware of it. And the only thing we could do is create those videos, put that information out there, right? But then the folks out there have to help us get it out to more people. So it's not just looking at it. You have to look at it, share it, and then if there's instructions in there, get in touch with your congressman, your senator, your local representatives, call them up, send them emails, go on social media. That kind of stuff is, for some reason these days, too difficult.
Yeah. I think that the most basic description of it would be that people want to be entertained. And I think a lot of people look at the gun world and they go, hey, I'm going to watch this machine gun meltdown, or I'm going to watch, whatever XYZ gun video is going to be. And hey, this is really entertaining, and I want a distraction.
They want to escape. They want to escape. And there's lots of really cool, fun videos out there, but we won't have those things or be able to do those things and show it to you if we don't fight to preserve that. So, yes, that's definitely happening. If people out there are wondering, I would say it's definitely happening. The question now is why?
Yeah.
Why? Why is it not cool to do a little bit of
advocate, for the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
Well, I think that a lot of people are worried about chasing off people in their viewership that maybe, and I don't even just mean this strictly from a content creator standpoint, but I guess I've sort of dipped my toe in that pool, so I might as well go ahead and go there. But a lot of content creators may not necessarily want to talk about advocacy or talk about ways that people can get involved, because they're so entertainment driven. And they're so culturally driven in terms of just, hey, guns are cool and that's it, right? Yeah. They don't want to scare off the soccer moms. They don't want to scare off the people that might be left-leaning that like guns, that maybe they don't even like guns, but they're watching gun videos and they don't want to polarize that particular part of their audience, right? So
they don't want to identify themselves to an audience and run the risk of the audience saying, I don't agree with you, or I don't like what you're doing. Right. Ultimately, it comes down to the numbers.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people that, they, like we mentioned earlier, they go to YouTube to escape, right? They want to watch a video that's fun and entertaining or whatever, and they don't care about, like you said, the minutia behind, this Senate bill that we have to fight, or contact your reps, or do any of that. They're trying to escape that bullcrap. They're not trying to go there and deal in it, right? So our channel, we're kind of put sometimes in a really weird situation, because we do a lot of that. So, if you're watching a week's worth of YouTube content, there's a very, very strong possibility that 1 in 3 videos on my channel is going to be related to something going on in the 2A world that's important. And we're talking about current events, we're talking about politics, and sometimes people don't like that, right? Now, there is a very focused subsection of people in the 2A community that are hyper engaged in that type of content, and I'd like to think that we reach a very important microcosm of hyper engaged individuals. That's the way I treat it. So a meltdown video that would get, 5 million views is not really the same content, the same type of situation as a gun gripe that gets 100,000 views.
So I think there's a couple of things involved there with that, right? If we want to get to the root of that. I think that a meltdown video that you do is more shareable. So that's just the reality. Because even if they're sharing it with someone who's not a gun person, it's less likely they're going to be offended. If it's something political, now you're kind of labeling yourself. And maybe there's a lot of folks out there afraid of labeling themselves. And even we get into that sometimes, right? When celebrities all of a sudden want to chime in on politics, we're like, hey, you're entertainers, what do you know about this? And I get why. I don't see myself as a celebrity. I don't think, even like you guys are a bigger channel, but I don't think you rise to that level of celebrity either. This is a subject matter that you are experts on, right? So that's the way that I feel about it. You're probably more of an expert than I am, but it's a subject matter that I'm an expert on, and I have to be an advocate for something. So even if I was doing cars, and let's say people were like, you know what, we don't want car videos out there anymore, we don't want people driving cars, then I have a responsibility to talk about that. Because it's something that I do and that I know about, and I need to let my audience know, hey, this might be a thing. Now I'm trying to get them to actually do something, to get involved in this video, to share it, to maybe go out there and reach out to someone and do something. And it's just tough to do that, to get people to do that thing. And it seems to me in the last, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years, it's gotten a lot worse.
Yeah. So we can kind of change lanes a little bit here. So we're talking about content creators really in this context. So let's switch gears to like just your average guy that's a gun or girl, guy, gal, that, it, whatever.
However you identify that.
Whatever pronoun you want. Yeah. Whoever you are.
Right.
Look, whoever that person might be, the individual. Okay. There's a lot of things to consider in terms of how they approach advocacy in the Second Amendment community, because now it turns into, all right, how many people on an average day do you come in contact with, right? You go to work, you're around the same coworkers every day, more than likely. You may interact with the public if you're maybe in customer service or public relations or something, but maybe your job involves contacting a lot of people, or maybe your job, let's just say you go to work and you're around the same people all the time. And some people are afraid to bring up gun ownership, or hey, I own a gun, or I went to the range, or my husband went hunting, or I went hunting. Right. Yeah. So whatever the case may be, people might be a little bit afraid to bring that up in the workplace. So maybe they're not an influencer, or maybe they're not a content creator, and I use that term extremely lightly. Maybe they don't put themselves out there like we
that's
would.
Their job we're talking about, where they make their money, they take care of their family. They don't want people to feel like they're being aggressive or they're a dangerous person that might come in there and do something. So yeah, that kind of makes it tough.
Yeah.
But what should they do? Maybe they shouldn't talk about it at work, but there's other things that they can do to still advocate for.
Well, you look at all these situations, right, where individuals have been banned on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of these major social media platforms. People have been banned simply for sharing photos of guns, or talking about guns, or joining a group on Facebook that might be a shooting related group, or a gun advocacy related group, right? So we've seen those situations where the social media platforms will pick on the small guys because they know, you're a person with 30 followers, they can bully you around, and you may not really have the ability to do anything about it. So it's really hard for the individual to express themselves in a way that their peers are going to understand that it's normal. So I think that there are cultural changes that are definitely happening all the time. Guns are more and more commonplace in everyday society. And it's more common for people to discuss guns, even in the workplace. I mean, think about it. You're at work, there's a little bit of downtime. You start shooting the breeze with someone at work, and you're talking about, I bought my Audi R8, or I bought my new Tesla car, or I bought a new golf club set, or a new watch. And you just shoot the shoot the breeze and shoot
And that's
the fact.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's typically okay. Talking about this, like, where do you go? If you can't talk about it at work, and then, so let's say we put that on the side. Can't talk about it at work, you get in trouble, lose your job. Can you talk about it with your family and your friends?
I most certainly think you should be able to do that.
I think you could do that.
Yeah.
You know, now you don't want to be overly aggressive there either, right?
I mean, you're not going to be a gun evangelist or whatever, you know. Well,
Listen, I mean, I think you are and I am, but I don't know how you do this. When I'm out there in the world and people realize, like, hey, I do gun stuff, and they ask me questions, I don't try to force things on them. I try to answer the questions they're asking me. Mm-hmm. And I try to figure out how to make the point that I'm trying to make to them relative. And what most people I find are thinking about is whether or not, like, a lot of people think if they get guns, they'll get in trouble. A lot of people think guns are for the bad guys. They think that, oh, the cops will arrest me, I'll get into trouble. And I think once you identify something like that for them that they're worried about, and you point them in the right direction and say, hey, this is legal, there's things that protect you, this is the law. Now they start to discover that themselves, instead of saying, you need to just support guns, vote this, you know, that kind of pushes them out of the way. It's tough, though. You have only your work, your family and friends, and then social media.
That's right. And I think there's also... to add to that point, mm-hmm. Hank, there's also situations where people, I believe, are pigeonholed into a certain area, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at, in terms of indoctrination and misinformation. And mm-hmm. what I mean by that is, you know, the media puts out all kind of bad information about guns. They mm-hmm. paint gun owners in a very negative light. Mm-hmm. And in our public education systems, mm-hmm. especially in more left-leaning, and again, this isn't even political, but the mm-hmm. fact is, right, one subset of our education system, you know, purposely puts out information in a negative light about gun ownership. And there's even places where you might go into the middle of Chicago and ask some young person, hey, you know, what do you think your first gun's going to be? And they're going to say, oh, I thought guns were illegal because the police told me you can't own a gun. That's illegal. Only criminals own guns. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to change the culture of gun ownership to be something that is negative and only criminals own guns. And they're trying to do it in a way that when it's coming from your teacher, when it's coming from a cop, when it's coming from, you know, those people in society, it's like, well, these are the people that we go to for answers,
it's
right?
It's programming, basically.
It is programming.
What happens. It's programming. Yeah. You know, I think, look, just to go back a little bit here, right? What was the most prevalent way that we recognized that someone supported guns in the past?
They would join the NRA?
Yep. And how do we know that? We would see the NRA stickers and stuff. So what does that mean? So the folks out there that supported guns and didn't want to get into all these things said, you know what? I'm going to take my money. I'm going to give it to the NRA. They're going to advocate for me, right?
Correct. So, you know, first we had the influencer, social media, content creator paradigm, the individual paradigm. Now the paradigm we go into are gun advocacy groups.
Because that's the easiest way for you to do it without getting into a lot of trouble or getting into fights with the family and being that guy.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, you could simply not put that sticker on your vehicle, send them your money.
And no one knows.
And a lot of people just have that hands-off approach to, oh, well, I sent my $20 in, so I did my part.
Well, I mean, I have to say, man, you know, there's certain points the NRA was getting like $200 million a year, right? And so we were all abdicating the responsibility to organizations like the NRA. Look, there's other organizations out there, but we were basically doing that. And then there was a point, I think a few years ago, where they kind of like selected and anointed Trump, for example. Like, this is the most gun guy person. We're going to support him for president. Then he became president. And then all the gun folks out there felt like, yeah, did what I need to do. I supported NRA and organizations like that. Trump became the president. Now there's not going to be any problems. No one's, you know, I think before that, folks thought, hey, they are coming for my guns. So I believe, you know, 8 years before that, under Obama, people thought these guys want our guns. So when you got that, it's like, well, I don't have to fight for anything anymore. And I think that's what we're facing now, because a lot of people believe that, and they believe that all the way up till now, what's happening, that, you know, you're more than likely not even going to have Trump.
I do want to clarify something in the context of this video. We have been very hard on the NRA, and there's a lot of things about the NRA as an organization we don't agree with, and there's a lot of things that go on, such as a 70-plus person board of directors, and so there's all these things of basically painting a picture of a ship that is purposely designed to fail, and only a few people on the top echelon have any real power in the organization, and the rest of it is just there for show, and it's packed full of yes men that are just.
I wish it wasn't like that. I don't.
Right.
It's very sad to me.
It is.
When I started doing this, I supported the NRA. You were doing this a long time before me, and I remember being on the other side of that screen or the internet and looking at what you guys were doing, and I supported the NRA because of yourself and other people out there. And I'm very disappointed to be on this side now and realize that they weren't truly trying to work with everyone. They were really just trying to do their own thing. And then now they've become completely useless to us.
Yep.
And so right now we're facing, like Biden, for example, has a very specific, laid out, detailed, complicated plan of taking guns away from people. It's undeniable this is what he's planning on doing, and no one's out there paying attention to it. And even when I find myself trying to get folks out there, gun guys, to pay attention, they are completely apathetic. The comments I'm getting is like, dude, what does it matter if they can steal the election? They could do anything they want to do. It doesn't matter. Why even fight? Why even try to do this? And I think that's too bad. We're going to miss out. It's going to be too bad for us if we have to make like the ultimate decision.
I think it's worth mentioning as well that a lot of people that are NRA members are good people, right? So it's not the membership's fault. I think it's clear to make that distinction, right? Just because someone paid a membership to a gun advocacy group, no matter who they are, GOA, FPC, NRA, maybe your local Virginia Citizens Defense League, Georgia Carry, doesn't matter. Any gun rights organization, regardless of who they are, the people that paid their dues trying to do what they felt was the right thing, and maybe some of those folks that are just members in those organizations have gone out and actually gotten involved in the grassroots efforts, like the door knocking going on with the GOA right now here in Georgia, all of those things. It doesn't mean that because you are a member of said organization that you're a bad person or that you've made a bad decision.
Even the employees of those organizations are good people. They're out there in good faith doing it. It's the leadership. Right. At the end of the day, the people steering the boat are the people responsible.
Well, you can have the best army in the world, but if you got a crummy general leading the battle, you ain't going to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing is their methods have been based in the NRA specifically. Their methods have been based in selling fear to their constituents, to their membership base, right? So taking money from both sides, right? Going to advocate on the Hill and go, oh, well, I'll tell you what, let's do this, and then we'll chalk up a bunch of fear about it. So it just seems like they're playing both sides.
Well, politicians don't solve problems, in my opinion. They're in the business of creating problems, therefore they stay in business. Right. So why
would the NRA want to completely do away with all of the bad gun laws? Right. Then they would have no fear to chalk up and get.
They wouldn't have something to push our buttons and get more money and all that kind of stuff. So here's the thing: what do we do about it? I really want to know. You're someone I look up to. I admire you. I think you're kind of like a, genius. Believe it or not.
Wow.
If that's not too far. Maybe in the Rain Man type of genius.
Rain Man? No. All right. So, that's a good question.
No, really. What do you think? I know you think deeply about stuff. What do you think is the solution to this?
Okay. So the thing is, the way that I approach this whole thing and kind of what we've always said from day one, right, is that these gun rights organizations are nothing without people. All right. People are the lubrication of the machine. All right. Now, these people that are high-ranking board members or heads of these departments or whatever, they might be the gears that eventually turn the ship, but that ship needs fuel, lubrication. There's all these other finities that go into it. And I feel like you can't have these organizations without people. The people are the organization. So these grassroots efforts have always been something that they push really hard on. So you don't have to be a member of a gun rights organization to still get involved in things that are going on in your community, right? Go to your city council meetings. Go to the Capitol rallies when you have them, right? put together groups of people on your own in your local communities. Join a local gun rights organization, maybe at a state level. That's fine too. You don't have to do that, though. You can still be really involved, because at the end of the day, these gun rights organizations are going to go, we have to do this, and they're going to herd the cats and say, this is what we need to do. But they're still relying on the people to actually get out and make things happen, knock on doors, talk to people, like make videos, like the way we produce content. You notice we put up all kinds of gun gripes related to all sorts of things that are going on all over the United States. And it's not because someone says, go do this, right? Or because there's some incentive for us to do it beyond your freedom, right? It's just simply because it's the right thing to do. If I'm going to wake up that day and go, well, yeah, I advocate for the Second Amendment. Well, if there's some screwy bullcrap going on in Washington State, or if there's some screwy bullcrap going on in Virginia or Georgia or any other state, it's up to me to try to cover it in the most honest way that I can. So, do the best you can and reach as many people as you can. And I think also from a social media standpoint, going back to the fact that, all right, that person that can't talk about guns at work, maybe their family's not very sympathetic to the idea of gun ownership. And then maybe they went and joined a group on Facebook and got their Facebook account closed or deleted.
Or got banned
or got
for
banned
life. Now they can't get
over some bullcrap, right? So how do you fight back against that? There are conservative social media outlets. And even if you're looking for a more independent social media outlet, those are out there as well. But like PARLER is a great example. I mean, we're on PARLER, both of us are. PARLER is a great resource to be able to reach people, like-minded people. I would say get an account on PARLER and try to really get in with a good group of people that you feel shares your ideas and that you can rely on, and that will help you disseminate information you're trying to put out to other like-minded people. PARLER's great. Rumble is great. Rumble as a video platform actually started primarily for political commentary. Political commentary that generally was frowned upon in major social media networks and or mainstream news outlets. We are also on Rumble. Shameless plug, but we're on Rumble.
Because of you, I signed up with that.
Good.
So.
But we're on Rumble. So, gathering people in places where we know that it's a little bit more future and recession proof in terms of censorship is going to be an important part of that. So if we have this information that we have to put out, whether it's, hey, go knock on doors, or let's fight this particular Senate bill or House bill, right? We have this piece of information that has to be disseminated. The traditional way the social media outlets and the mainstream media would do it is they just send it out to their millions and millions and millions of syndicated followers that they have, and they're going to put out a narrative that only matches the narrative they're trying to put out, not the minutia of the facts. They're not concerned about reality or facts. They're concerned about driving a narrative. So modern media as we know it, and modern mainstream media, especially in social media, are not concerned about facts anymore. So you can no longer look to traditional media outlets, for that type of thing. So I think that going to the more non-traditional social media outlets and non-traditional communication methods are going to be the way that we kind of make ourselves recession-proof.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things I figured out when my YouTube channel got deleted is it doesn't matter how many people follow me on YouTube. I don't own the right to communicate with those people who follow me. So I think it is really important to find the alternatives on social media and then have some kind of ownership. So like an email list is that. And I know there's people that are worried about that and they don't want to get stuff, they don't want to get a bunch of emails and things like that.
We have an email list. Sign up.
But please,
we won't spam you.
Yeah, do sign up for the email list, because that's a communication that we own. And you own that too. You have like a way of communicating, right? And I think that's really important. We have to figure out, there's a lot of us. There are a lot of people. There is a big silent majority. And we have to figure out how to communicate with each other and then get the message out there and keep doing what we have to do. There's a lot in the industry, the firearms industry. There's a lot of companies that don't talk about politics either, and they don't get involved in it. A lot in states locally, they don't even know that there's anti-gun laws that are going up and doing that kind of stuff. When you go out to the rallies, so for example in Florida, I go out to the rallies, I don't even see the gun stores there, and there's tons of gun stores. So that kind of thing, we have to figure out how to get everyone more involved. And it's why we have to own communication. And the reason why the other side sees it as being powerful, and they realize the way to stop us is easy. Just close the door.
You know, and it's funny that you mentioned, and so I guess that would be the final kind of crux of this situation is, you know, first we talked about the content creator, then we spoke in regards to the individual, then we spoke in regards to the advocacy group. Now we talk about the industry very quickly, and we don't really want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but it is a distinctive thing that, you know, the gun industry as a whole is what the anti-gunners look at when they think of guns, right? Someone has to make them, someone has to distribute them, sell them, someone has to go into business and have a license to be in the purveyance of these items.
Yeah. Even before we get them and make videos or
Correct.
whatever.
So there's an entire sphere of influence that is within just the gun industry itself as we know it. So they, in many, many cases, need to be involved every step of the way, and obviously it's their means of purveyance, right? I mean, if you're Smith & Wesson or Ruger or Daniel Defense or any large company that employs a ton of people, it is certainly going to be beholden of you to ensure that there's an environment where you can actually do business and keep the lights on and keep your business afloat, right? So,
well, if you look in the mirror as a business, as a company in the firearms industry, and you say to yourself that you don't do politics. So there was a SHOT Show where I asked companies, what do they do about the Second Amendment? And a lot of their representatives told me they don't do politics. That's a pretty bad sign.
Right. Well, I think that a lot of them, and I don't agree with this, but I do believe a lot of them know that their base that buys their products aren't just the, you know, blue-collar, conservative, middle-of-the-road or right-leaning type of person. I think that they do a lot of market research. And they know that their customers might be Democrats, or it might be someone who's extremely on the other end of the political aisle.
For sure, but you know what? The Second Amendment is not political.
It isn't. They politicize
It's the Constitution.
It is, but I don't run a political channel in the sense of, oh, well, Eric, why are you so political? I'm not political. People politicize my rights, and I have to react to their politicization of my rights.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah,
you know,
what we talk about, what we advocate for is literally in the Constitution. It's not politics. Is anything else in there political?
It really isn't, if you think about it.
Nothing in there is political. That's the foundation of America and why we're free.
Yeah.
So people try to bend that and make it seem like this is political. So in a way, it's true if a company says they don't do politics, but do you do the Second Amendment?
Right.
Because that's not political.
Do you advocate?
Yes.
You know, do you put yourself out there in a way that, you know, yeah, you might make a few people mad on this side or that side of the aisle, but at the end of the day, it's the fundamentals of why the Second Amendment exists and the idea of, okay, as a company, do you support that? So, interesting, you know, it'll be really crazy to see, you know, at the time right now that we're in, you know, it's still anybody's ball game. There's still a lot of contention out there in terms of who the president's going to be. I'm not going to speculate on that here.
It doesn't matter. We got to keep fighting for the Second Amendment.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of recounts, and there's a lot of things happening, and there's a Senate runoff here in Georgia. So even removing the politics from that situation about, oh, this person, this party, that party, at the end of the day, the Second Amendment is still our treasure we have to protect. It's still our delicate flower we have to keep from getting blown over. So, you know, it's still our responsibility no matter what letter is next to somebody's name or what person is in political office.
Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely. Dude, thanks for joining me on today's Gripe, man.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Dude,
I really do appreciate
anytime.
you guys taking the time,
Yeah.
including myself and Lola. Got to give Lola a shout out.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lola over there.
Yeah.
But guys, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed today's Gun Gripe. Definitely go check out Hank Strange. Great channel. He's got a great podcast. Really, really great talking points. Make sure you check him out.
Check him out on Parler. He's on fire on there.
Dude, Parler is the jam.
Yeah,
I like it because I can be unabashed and,
absolutely.
And people
it's
just kind of go, well, it's crazy. We've grown on Parler a lot. I think we went from 9,000 to 18,000 followers in about a week and a half.
Wow. Yeah. If you want to see the real, go over there. Everywhere else, you're your real self, I believe, on all the other social media, but they're kind of like shadow banning you. So.
Oh, of course they are.
Yeah.
They can't, if they can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, have a great day. Thank you for watching. Many more Gun Gripes on the way. Tons of other content. Thank you so much for hearing us out. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.